All right, I think we're live here from the Lebanon High School football press box, and thank you guys so much for tuning in to our Jacket Nation Sports pregame show. Week 2 of the high school football season getting ready to kick off around the state here in about 2.5 hours from kickoff. Hope you guys are getting prepped and ready to come out to Jacket Stadium as Lebanon plays host to Hillcrest tonight with kickoff beginning at 7 p.m. Had an 8 o'clock start last week, but the weather has gone our way this week, Mike. And obviously, Mike Flanders joins me to my right. I'm Alex Boyer. Mike, how was your week?
My week was outstanding. I looked at the weather on the way here, 77 degrees at kickoff. Picked up Eli today at the middle school and had some back and black going just to get myself mentally ready for the game. And here we go, week 2, Hillcrest.
Yeah. And before we get started with anything, I want to take time to thank our pregame show sponsors, Heritage Bank of the Ozarks, Jonesy's Travel Center, Missouri Cooperage, Shadell's Colonial Chapel, and Mercy Hospital-Lebanon. And want to take some time here at the beginning as well and recap some of the other programs here at Lebanon High School and the week that they had before we dive into football. Mike and I were lucky enough to call the softball game on Saturday up in the new press box, and that was a pretty sweet experience, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was awesome. The field looks good. The lights are ready to go. The girls played Willard, and it was a district game, and Willard came ready to play, definitely, didn't they, Alex?
Yeah, 5-0 loss for Lebanon, but, I mean, besides that, Lebanon went 2-1 during the week. They got a couple Ozark Conference wins over Central, 20-0 last night, and then Parkview 23-9 on, I believe that was Tuesday night. So busy week for them, 3 games. And
man, putting up some runs.
Yeah, putting up some runs, and we'll have some streams this season from the softball press box, so make sure that you guys are paying attention for that. In other sports, girls tennis, the high school girls tennis team picked up wins over Central and Camdenton this week, which is always a good thing when you can beat Purple.
It is, and I actually was at Waynesville yesterday and spent some time with their coach, and they had the tournament today, and I believe I saw our Lebanon girls finish second in the tournament.
Yeah, Ron Kroll and the Lady Jackets off to a solid start this fall, and moving over to the Hardwood, where the LHS volleyball team, they played in their season opening tournament last Saturday at Branson, finishing 3rd out of 16 teams. They defeated Forsyth and Kearney, and then lost to Republic in the semifinals, but a good start nonetheless for Jenny Collins and her squad. Fell to Republic on Tuesday night, so had to face Republic 2 games in a row. That was on the road, lost in 4 sets, but they open up their home schedule next Tuesday, I think, Mike, against Columbia Battle, and I think we'll have a stream provided for that, so excited to get to show off some of the volleyball program and the job that they do.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, and I know that the Swarm will show up, have some students there, and I'm looking forward to home opener. It's been a fast and furious couple of weeks with sports, but we've not had volleyball at home yet. So home opener Tuesday.
Yeah, looking forward to it. And we talked about softball already, but boys soccer, we had a home tournament last weekend. It was supposed to be Friday and Saturday last week, but due to the weather, they had to cancel Friday's games and push everything to Saturday. So that kind of led to a mix-up of the entire tournament. Lebanon went 0-2 with losses to Willard and Sullivan. I was able to catch that Sullivan game, and I was pretty impressed despite the loss with some of the athletes that the soccer team has this year. And they had their Ozark Conference home opener on Tuesday against Glendale, and Falcons are obviously one of the most talented teams in the state, but they'll travel to Central on next Tuesday in search of their first win this year. And I think Matt Jernigan has done a really good job for years with that program.
Yeah. We did have, 2 years ago, made the switch where Jernigan just focused on the guys.
Yeah.
And, I think that is going to be a really neat thing moving forward, where he's focusing on the guys, and then obviously the girls play in the spring. But I'm looking forward to watching the guys play a little bit this year too.
And then girls golf, they hosted their one and only home match against Osage, the Osage Indians at Great Life on Monday, and competed at Lake Valley on Tuesday, and then they had the Seymour tournament that they had at Marshfield on Wednesday. Was able to talk a little bit to head coach Lindsay Darnell, and she was telling me that her team dropped 20 strokes from their team score at Whispering Oaks in Marshfield on Thursday from Lake Valley, which, I mean, Lake Valley is a pretty tough course. You know, those lake courses can get hilly and bumpy and can get out of hand quick, especially for golfers like you and I.
Yeah, if I could drop 20 strokes, I'd
You'd be happy with it?
I'd be competitive with, nobody. So
But
prove
yeah.
that this afternoon.
Yeah.
Spent some time out there this afternoon.
Yeah, so Lindsay Darnell and the girls golf team looking to improve as the season moves along. The boys swim team will have their first swim meet next Tuesday at Carthage, and the cross country team, which was just in front of us on the football field, gearing up for their first meet of the season tomorrow at Bolivar. Should be an exciting year for Josh Smith and his runners. That's a sport that that takes a lot of courage and willpower.
It does, and I see them putting the effort out at come to football practice, and I see them running all over town.
Yeah.
So they have to put the work in there. They put some serious miles in, and I'm sure tomorrow at Bolivar, I think that's a pretty decent sized meet, but I can't wait to see the results on that.
Yeah, so that's kind of the recap from the Lebanon High School Athletics Department and the other sports going on at this time. But moving on to football, obviously, if you haven't heard by now, the Jackets have shut out the Parkview Vikings in Week 1 by a score of 56-0. So a pretty dominant performance from the defending Ozark Conference champions. But Mike, I know you were around practice a little bit this week. I talked to some guys in the locker room. You ask those guys, they'll tell you that there's still a lot of things that they can improve on and could have went better despite the shutout.
Yeah, they definitely some highlights, to see. Honestly, Alex, I love watching the defense. I can't wait to see what happens every week as those guys get better. Every week we just peak, it seems like, and Coach Christian comes all summer. They work so hard and they're ready to get going. But this Yellow Jacket team is poised to make a run, but we'll see how it goes. But definitely we got to stay healthy.
Yeah, and that's kind of that kind of says a lot about how the football program has grown over the years. Is a 56-0 win, most teams would be pretty content with that and be moving on to the next week. But the coaching staff has kind of instilled that in the guys, that just because you win a game like that doesn't mean that everything went as perfect as the scoreboard looked. But that's the standard that the coaching staff holds to this team.
And I think the beauty of a win like that, and obviously we'll see what happens tonight. You get some young guys in that get some time. You got a backup quarterback that gets some reps. You got some guys that would probably played Monday night that get some extra reps. Got some running backs that get some live action under the lights, and that's always fun to get some of those subs in there too. And I said it Friday night, they held the shutout. There was a moment there I was a little bit worried. There was a long run that ended up about the 40-yard line on the other side, but they held that shutout, and I know our defense takes a lot of pride in making sure they don't score any points.
Yeah, and I think the state rankings came out on Monday, as they'll do every week this fall, and Lebanon opened up the first rankings, checking in at number 9 in Class 5, while potential future district opponent Republic coming in at number 6, and then other kind of local teams, Jefferson City Helias at number 5 and Webb City at number 4. The Lakers from Camden receiving some votes there. We'll see how the rankings kind of shake up as the year moves along. And it's pretty impressive that Webb City can be 0-1 and still come in at number 4.
No, real quick, did I see that our JV is playing Webb City Monday night, or is it freshman?
I believe it is the freshman team that's going to play.
Sometimes
JV.
Sometimes, some Springfield schools or other schools on our schedule, they may not have a freshman team or they don't have enough guys. And so Coach Christian always is furious and fast and furious trying to find a sub. And our team's going to Webb City on Monday night. And I thought that was kind of cool. Good opportunity for this group that have had a lot of success.
Yeah, the JV team traveling to Webb Monday night, always a good matchup for that program, and we'll get some solid reps against a talented team. But back to the game from last week. I thought, we talked about the Yellow Jackets coming out of the gate fired up and playing a pretty solid game. I was pretty impressed with some of the new faces in the backfield. I know that Drew's kind of been a rock on the defensive end, but it was kind of cool to watch him move over to the offensive end. And then you had Abe Allen, who kind of made a name for himself week 1 with with his big hit on defense and then the truck stick into the end zone on offense.
Man, I love that.
Yeah,
Love that.
423 yards of total offense with Jax Glendenning leading the way, 180 yards and 4 touchdowns. Gavin Smith, the senior quarterback, with 2 touchdowns, while Abe Allen and Weston McKinney added rushing touchdowns of their own. But like you said, the defense was pretty fun to watch, and I'm alluding to this, but an interview upcoming with Coach Will Christian, we talk a little bit about the guys that they have on defense. When you have athletes like Gunnar Williams, Nick Allen, Mason Hendricks, Griffin Jones, Avery Starnes, Drew Bowling, Hoyt Honey, Gavin Smith, those are pure athletes.
Absolutely.
And they did a nice job of swarming to the ball and rushing the passer to wreak havoc on the Vikings.
Anytime you can get 423 yards on the offense and the defense hold them to, 124 yards, things are going to look good for you on the scoreboard, and we hope to keep that up tonight.
Yeah, and like we said earlier, we were able to catch up with Lebanon head football coach Will Christian and the Missouri Cooperage player of the game from week 1, Hoyt Honey, to talk about last week's game and kind of talk about some of the matchup upcoming tonight against the Hillcrest Hornets. So enjoy this interview, and we'll be right back after this. Lebanon head football coach Will Christian joins us on the pregame show. Coach, well, you've been back to a normal practice schedule this week. How nice has that been for your team to kind of get back to some normalcy and to be able to practice after school instead of waiting until 8 with the weather?
It's been really good. I think it gave our kids an opportunity to, have their day done at a decent hour so they could, move on and do different things. Same thing for our coaching staff. Hopefully get to bed a little earlier and get a little bit more sleep as well. And so, that's been great. And the weather's been great, too, to be honest with you. I mean, we've had some days that have been really nice. So it's been a great week, and a week where, we need to make some drastic improvements. There's always a good improvement from week 1 to 2. And so we've been working really hard to try to get that done.
Yeah, and then, I kind of came away from last week, your offense obviously gets the recognition every week that they deserve, but I came away from week 1 kind of impressed by that defense and, the athletes that you have all over the field that's going to help out that side of the ball this fall.
Really excited about us defensively. I think we can be very multiple. I think as the year goes on, we'll have even a better understanding schematically and be able to do even more. You're absolutely right, athletically, both with our front, our linebacking core, and our back half. Good athletes, run to the football, physical, and so those are all attributes to play great defense. And so we just got to continue to get better at tackling. I talked a little bit about in some other shows that early in the year, tackling is always perhaps a little behind. In this current day and age of football, we got to keep athletes healthy. There's rules on how much we can hit, and so honestly, we don't do a ton of live tackling, just to make sure that we stay healthy and that we adhere to the rules. And so those games are really important to help us develop the tackling. And so I think as the year goes on, we'll do a better and better job in that area.
And obviously, you'll face another first-year head coach tonight, Keenan Gans. What were some of the takeaways that you saw on that film in week 1? I know it was kind of a game where they didn't play the best to their abilities, but what did you take away watching Hillcrest last week?
Well, I think that they're sound. I know that Coach Gans has a good pedigree. He was an offensive coordinator at Morningside College. He worked for Coach Colonial Senate Republic for several years, and that's an outstanding program that does things the right way. And so, I think he brings a lot of experience, even though he hasn't been a head coach. And so I think he's doing the right things. I think that he's organized and has the program going in the right direction. But as Lebanon fans can contest to, things don't happen overnight. And so, he is in the foundational stages right now of developing a program, and so that's kind of where they're at. But for us, it's really less about them or him or any of the other factors, and more about us and how we play and how we execute and our approach. One of the things that I've been on our team about this week is, are we arrogant or are we humble? Arrogant football teams get complacent and lazy and think they've arrived and typically begin to decline. And humble football teams, humble people in general, typically know that they've got to get better, and they work to do so. And that's what we need to be if we want to achieve some of the goals that we have set for this year.
Yeah, no doubt. And then, of course, one of the players that I wanted to talk to you about was that a lot of fans might not know yet, but kind of made a name for himself week one, was Abe Allen. A slot back and cornerback for you guys going both ways. What do you have to say about Abe and the physicality that he brings to the field on both sides of the ball?
Well, you nailed it right there. Super physical. I mean, he is a physical kid. He is going to strike you in the back half. He's athletic enough, that we can trust him in really multiple coverage situations. And then, when receivers catch the football, they're going to get punished. And he also has the capability to be incorporated into the run game as well and make good, solid form tackles. Very physical. On the offensive side of things, the slot has got to be a very selfless player, much like our receiving core. They don't get the number of carries that, our fullback and quarterback are going to get. And so Abe brings that. It's not about Abe, it's about Lebanon. And when he gets his opportunities to carry the football, he's athletic. He showed that Friday. But he also does a great job of blocking, and he's very physical in that element too.
Awesome. Coach, thanks for your time. Good luck tonight against Hillcrest.
Thank you, Alex.
Joining me now is the Missouri Cooperage Week 1 Player of the Week, Hoyt Honey, a senior wide receiver for the Lebanon Yellow Jackets and also stars as a safety for the defense as well. Hoyt, a solid performance for you and your team last Friday night. How did you feel about the game against Parkview?
Thank you for having me. It went really good. I thought we played good, but I think we all thought we had a lot to work on.
Definitely, and that's always the case after a Week 1 game. I think teams always try to build, and Week 2 is kind of the test to see how well you put it together in practice. So, but for you individually, a key interception, it was called back. You ran it back to the house for a touchdown, but was called back for a penalty. A nice catch in the end zone that was also called back due to holding, but nonetheless a 2-point conversion reception for you, and then also a catch for about 12 or 13 yards. So even though those two big plays got called back for you, how did you feel like you played individually?
I felt like I played all right. I went back and watched film. I have a lot to work on, and I can improve big time.
Well, being a wide receiver in an offense like this, it takes a true team player because you're not throwing it every down like the likes of Camdenton or Glendale. But how crucial is it for you to be bought in to your role as a blocker, and then when the time comes for a pass, be ready to do your job and haul that in?
I'm just out there to do my job. I just play for the team, and if they want me to block, I'll block for Gavin Smith, Jax Glendenning, Drew Bowling any day, and they want me to go for a route, I'll go for a route.
What improvements did you make to your game this offseason from last season? I know that you guys, this senior class, took on a big leadership role. Drew Bowling, Griffin Jones, Gavin Smith, those guys, Gunnar Williams, are big leaders for your team. But, what did you guys do in the offseason to make those adjustments and to be ready for this fall? Yeah,
me, Gav, Griff, Gunnar, Drew, we all worked all offseason, got stronger, got faster, and just worked as a team and inspired each other to be leaders. And
no doubt. And then I know you've been dealing with a little bit of a hip issue this week. I've been around at practice, but how long has that been going on, and is that going to limit your performance at all in the field, or will you be playing tonight?
Yeah, it started at the beginning of the week, but it shouldn't bother me now. I'll be on the field tonight, and I'll be out there playing.
All right, Hoyt. Well, thanks for joining us, and congratulations on the Missouri Cooperage Week 1 Player of the Week, and good luck tonight against Hillcrest.
Thank you for having me.
So that was a catch-up little interview right there with head coach Will Christian and the Missouri Cooperage Player of the game from Week 1, Hoyt Honey. Obviously, appreciate both their time for that. But Mike, let's talk about some of the other Ozark Conference games that took place around the area last Friday. You had Camdenton defeating Rolla 42-21 in Parr Pitts' debut as the head coach in charge in Camden County, with quarterback Bear Shore gone, obviously the Lakers are going to rely upon Cade Durnan heavily, and he filled that void. Blake Ford, the running back for Camdenton, and Braden Shepard, each eclipsing the 100-yard mark at their respective positions. Any takeaways from that game for you?
Camdenton's going to do what Camdenton does. I'm curious to see what Rolla does with a new coach.
Yeah.
They don't have a letdown game tonight. They have a little work to do with obviously John Frank stepping down and getting a new coach there. Camdenton doesn't have an easy game tonight neither as they go to Kickapoo.
Yeah.
And so, early on, some of these Ozark Conference teams, it's not a week off.
Yeah.
These schedules, you have to come ready at this level of football every week.
Then kind of I don't know if I would say upset. I don't want to offend anybody or that type of thing, but kind of surprising game for me was Bolivar pulling off a win against West Plains, 42-38 in Week 1 action. The Liberators with the new head coach. I know that you kind of have some, people up there that you like and love on, but nice win for the Liberators and the head coach's debut.
Yeah, Jamie LaSalle has a lot of experience. This is his first time at a larger school, and so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. They've got some talent this year. He's got a younger coaching staff also, but there's a lot of excitement in Bolivar about football this year, and they with a new coach, you just never know. And he came in ready to go. They worked hard this summer and showed up Week 1. I think it was even a comeback win. They were down at halftime. Comeback win for the Liberators
against a really talented West Plains team and a solid program that Joel Wyatt's kind of built up the last year. So good win for the Liberators. And moving on, we still don't really know who's going to be Glendale's starting quarterback for the rest of the year yet, but nonetheless, Falcons posting a 46-30 win over Waynesville last week, and that high potent passing attack still looks pretty sharp for Glendale. But and then Kickapoo dominating Hillcrest 63-0. Chase Ham, the new quarterback for Kickapoo. We do know who's going to be the quarterback at Kickapoo now, but he looked pretty solid in his 2023 debut, and they've been kind of the talk around the Springfield area, and expectations are pretty high for Nate Thomas and his squad that always seems to come ready to play. And obviously the Lebanon Yellow Jackets will have their first road action next week against Kickapoo, so looking forward to seeing how that one plays out.
Yeah, I'm a big Nate Thomas fan. He's a high character guy. Is a Marshfield product, I believe, and spent some time at Marshfield before he went to Kickapoo. And going to Kickapoo, I have some bad memories, Alex, of going up there and some not fun nights. So I'm hoping next Friday night that'll change.
Yeah, and then heading into Week 2 now, we talked about kind of Week 1 and the game that will happen here tonight. Obviously, Lebanon, Hillcrest featuring a first-year head coach in Keenan Gans, and he'll look to kind of shake off that tough start that they had last week. But let's look at some of the other Ozark Conference games and some other key games around the area that have already taken place last night and kind of some games that are going to happen tonight. That one that you kind of alluded to earlier with Kickapoo at Camdenton, that would be a pretty fun game to be at Bob Shore Stadium. That's kind of probably the most intriguing game of the week. And, this is two teams that are trying to, both Ozark Conference contenders a year ago, graduating the bulk of their starters, and now they're trying to show that they're capable of challenging Lebanon for the league title. And I think the winner of this game is going to have everyone's attention a little bit.
Yeah, there's going to be points put up. I think the question mark for both of those teams, with Kickapoo winning so big last week and Camdenton, had to flex their muscles there at the end a little bit. But defense is going to be the key to the game, and obviously taking care of the ball. I just think that you said it'd be a great game to go to, but I think defense is going to be the deciding factor in that game.
Anytime you go into the jaws of death, you have to take care of the football, or else the Lakers will more times than not make you pay for your mistakes.
Yep.
Going into another game, Glendale at West Plains, the Zizzers, after that Week 1 loss to Bolivar last week, they're kind of in a desperate need of a win, or you can kind of count them out of the OC race. It seems like you have about one or maybe one loss to spare with Lebanon and Camdenton and Kickapoo all being at the top. So I think Bolivar is going to be a little bit better than people thought, and me included with that. But
Absolutely.
still a tough loss for the Zizzers week 1. I think it's going to be interesting to see how the Falcons defense responds in this game. Those bus trips to West Plains, they can do crazy things to a team. But showing kind of a tough showing for Glendale in that game against Waynesville, and you got to wonder how much success the offense is going to have tonight against a tough West Plains defense too. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see how both those teams match up with each other.
Yeah, the trip to the southwest corner of the conference is not always an easy one. From Springfield, they get a little bit nicer of a ride than us and Waynesville and Rolla and Camdenton have to kind of battle Highway 5, and I don't even know how you'd get down there from Rolla, Alex. But
I don't.
It's a tough place to play, no matter where you're at in the standings in the conference.
Yeah, and then Parkview and Waynesville tonight. That game taking place in Pulaski County at Waynesville High School. Most of us know what Parkview looked like last week if you watched the stream, but I was kind of impressed with Waynesville, and they were able to put up points like they did against Glendale last week. 30 points for them, but kept it closer than I thought they would. I kind of expect the Tigers to win tonight and keep that momentum going into week 3, but Cameron Bruff, it's kind of, like Coach Christian alluded to in his interview again with Hillcrest, is, he's building something there. It takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. So kind of have to be patient with when you make new hires like that.
It's funny. It's a little bit of a copy and paste about every other game this year with half the coaches in the conference new, Alex.
Yeah.
Waynesville is year 2 of the new coach, and I'm looking forward to making. Are we up there this year? Is that right?
Yeah.
Heading up to Waynesville for that game here in a few weeks.
And then the final Ozark Conference game of the night, Rolla at Bolivar. Another game where you can say there's 2 new head coaches,
Yeah.
Derek Heflin, Jamie LaSalle. Bolivar, that big win last week, you kind of wonder, are they going to keep riding that high, or are they going to be celebrating too much and kind of get a reality check from a solid Bulldogs team? But, if the Liberators are for real in this OC race, it's going to need to come out on top against in what's going to be a physical battle with Rolla.
And Rolla obviously brings some serious athletes to the table, and height even on the offensive side of the ball. So we'll see how the Liberators can handle the pressure.
Yeah, and then the other games around the area that me and Mike kind of had scheduled: Fairgrove at Central. Obviously, small school, big school, going to be fun to see how that pans out. Stratford at Ava, Nevada at Reed Spring, and then we kind of looked at that Republic Ozark game that happened last night. Republic coming away victorious 41-14, but Ozark kept it pretty close with Republic in the first half. Was able to watch that stream, and I've been impressed with Republic so far through 2 weeks. It's going to be kind of interesting to see how they handle the COC. I think they play Webb City next week, so that every week in the COC is going to be a challenge.
Yeah, and then that obviously is a district game for the Yellow Jackets too.
Yeah, so. Almost forgot tonight. Lebanon's going to honor one of the great wide receivers to come through the football program at halftime. Last week they inducted Cole Matlock into the Lebanon Football Hall of Fame. This week it's going to be Matlock's top target from that season, and Will Cuffey. He'll get the attention tonight. So obviously Will Cuffey, a big key to success in that 2010 run that Lebanon had. Obviously, what do you remember? What do you remember about Will?
Man, I remember his slants were nasty. He gets the ball on slants, and even some of those little bubble screens we did, he would just hit a second gear. And obviously, he had an impressive career here at Lebanon, and then went down and played 3 years in Joplin at Missouri Southern, and actually graduated with a business degree. So it's really neat to see these guys coming back to town and honoring them. And these guys put some serious blocks in the wall. And in the wall that they're building, the Lebanon Yellow Jacket football.
Yeah, and I think 5 o'clock right on the dot, so I think that'll probably wrap things up for this week's Jacket Nation Sports pregame show. I think the gates are going to open soon, and I'll start getting set up for our stream here tonight. But make sure that you try to make it out to the game if you can, obviously. But if you can't, you'll be able to watch the broadcast here on our channel on YouTube. Going live around 6:25 p.m. tonight. We'll be streaming the Dream Team performance, the LHS Marching Band, along with the game. So, not going to want to miss that. I'll have Mike up here with me in the booth, And looking forward to another week of high school football. Our pregame show is live every Friday. Next week on the road to Kickapoo, so I'll get some stuff worked out and try to get a show from the road for you guys next week. Want to thank Heritage Bank of the Ozarks, Jonesy's Travel Center, Missouri Cooperage, Shadel's Colonial Chapel, and Mercy Hospital-Lebanon for sponsoring our Jacket Nation Sports pregame show. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, check out our website for game stories, and we will see you soon. Go Jackets.